Wednesday, March 20th, 2019. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Monroeville Planning Commission to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Sharon, roll call, please.
Mr. Dill?
Aye.
Mr. Morganti?
Here.
Ms. Krivda? Mrs. Woodhall?
Here.
Mr. Pacusa?
Here.
Mr. Russo?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here.
Next on the agenda will be reorganization. We have to replace the vice president, who is no longer a member of the board, and that vacancy will probably not be filled until the May meeting.
For that position, I'd like to nominate Anthony Pacusa.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's for the vice president?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Now we need a nomination for chairman.
I would like to nominate Mr. Neal.
I'd like to second that, please.
Roll call, Sharon.
Mr. Dill?
Aye.
Mr. Morganti?
Aye.
Mrs. Woodhall?
Aye.
Mr. Pacusa?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
Next will be the nomination for secretary.
I'll nominate Mr. Morganti to continue in that role.
I'd like to second that, please.
Sharon, roll call, please.
Mr. Dill?
Aye.
Mr. Morganti?
Aye.
Mrs. Woodhall?
Aye.
Mr. Pacusa?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
I drew a blank.
Thank you. Now be the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 20th, 2019.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes as recorded.
Abstain. I was absent from the meeting.
I'll second.
Sharon, roll call, please.
Mr. Dill?
Aye.
Mr. Morganti?
Aye.
Mrs. Woodhall?
Abstain.
Mr. Pacusa?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
Under new business, 19-1 subdivision, Jonathan and Natalie Izzy. Applicant is requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval, tax parcel 544S364. The applicant proposes to reduce the size of lot 544S364 from 0.803 acres to 0.676 acres, and increase the size of lot 544S355 from 0.303 acres to 0.430 acres. The address of 1R is 818 Patton Street Extension in the R2 one-family residential zoning district. The applicant, please come forward. Sign in, please.
I already did.
Okay.
All right, what I'm basically want to do is a subdivision in the backyard, above the garage. I have to, by the borough, I have to have 40-foot back past my garage. I got to keep, so I want to subdivide it from there back to give the person I sold the property to next to me a place to put a driveway to come down in. That's basically all I want.
Paul, it meets all regulations.
Yes, no issues. It's been reviewed. It's just a very minor subdivision.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the subdivision as presented.
Second.
Sharon, roll call, please.
Mr. Dill?
Aye.
Mr. Morganti?
Aye.
Mrs. Woodhall?
Aye.
Mr. Pacusa?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You just want to leave that there and flip it over? Just flip it over. Put it back up on there, flip it over. The second application's on there as well.
Next is 19-2 sub, AWK Consulting Engineering Incorporated. The applicant is requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval of tax parcel 742D354. Applicant proposes to create two lots, lot number 1 into lot number 1R and lot number 2R. The address of lot number 2R is 3962 Logan's Ferry Road in the R2 one-family residential zoning district.
Yes, and
Your name for the record, please.
Yes, Richard Terra from AWK.
Want to go to
Consulting.
release?
I'm signing it already over here.
Okay.
We're all good. I
You,
signed it already this morning.
you got to go to a mic that they can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, this over here. Damn it, it wasn't working. Okay. Yeah, Richard Terra from AWK Consulting Engineers. And then what we have is, does this one work?
It
Go
does.
ahead.
Okay.
Yep, it should pick you up.
All right. And then what we're planning on doing is we have one existing track here, the overall piece, and we're just subdividing two pieces out of it, 1R and the remaining, which would be 2R. This existing dwelling already here already, and my client already has a buyer for this piece already, providing final subdivision, so that he already has a buyer for this piece already to build a house on here. And it has all utilities, easements, all setbacks are all met, 40-foot rear yard, for everything. Building line, side yards, we have plenty of room all around, no issues with that, and access. So everything meets code, there's no issues. We already went through engineering already, there was no issues.
Paul, you're fine?
Correct. Yes, the plan has been reviewed and meets all the ordinances.
Board members, any questions? Hearing none.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of 19-2-SUB.
Second?
Sharon, roll call, please.
Mr. Dill?
Aye.
Mr. Morganti?
Aye.
Mrs. Woodhull?
Aye.
Mr. Pacusa?
Aye.
Mr. Russo?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yep.
Next, we entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Everybody in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good night.